What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be going over how you should play fights when you're losing them. Obviously, we're pretty late into Season 2, and the game is going to change a lot in Season 3, so a lot of the things I talk about in this video are going to be like pretty universal. So while the meta and the loot pool is going to change, a lot of this will still apply in future seasons. As always, if you guys do enjoy this video, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you like some more, and comment down below on a scale of 1 to 10 how excited you are for the launch of Chapter 4 Season 3. So like I said, the video is going to be about how to play when you're losing a fight. And it's hard to talk about these things in Fortnite or just any BR, I feel like, because everything is so situational. There's not just one do this and it'll work out all of the time. It's more just like you have to make the play that is going to work a majority of the time. So if you're losing a fight, if the opponent has more damage on you than you have on them, especially in situations where you have no damage on them at all and they ended up frying you, you need to find a way to reset the fight. I think a lot of times what messes a lot of players up is they take a lot of damage, they know the fight isn't going well, and then because of that, they'd kind of just start panicking and they just want to get out of there. They don't really think about what's going on or at what point the fight is going to be winnable for them. They're just trying to leave. And the problem with that is that they're not defending themselves usually, and that they're often not making plays that make sense because they're panicking. Like, I'm sure, we've played. There's a lot of people that, like, with the web shooters or the ODM gear, you'll shoot them, and then in the middle of the fight, they'll just take these things out and try to leave, but that's not the way the item works, and then you just end up killing them anyways. Or you start shooting somebody, and they just completely stop fighting back, and they just try to sprint away. That's not good. You need to find a way to reset the fight, and this will be like break line of sight and get to cover. If you have the option between just trying to web through an open field or going to like a rock 30 meters away and try to play off that, I feel like going to the rock or tree or whatever is a better play than just trying to get away from the fight. Like, you want to get to somewhere where you can somewhat reset the fight and play, try to like tip the odds of the fight in your favor. And one of the things that really comes into play with these types of situations is going to be pressure. Like, you need to get pressure back in the fight. If someone opens a fight with like lots of red eye tags on you, they have a lot of pressure, right? And unless you do something to get that pressure back, you're not going to be able to win the fight. I'm going to be going over a few situations here which I kind of explain what I did right or what the enemy did wrong to kind of try to explain this. But like I said, a lot of things in this game are situational. The first situation that we're going to look at is going to be a fight where I get decent opening tags on this snorkel ops, and I shot her while she was trying to web. So her webs are going to be on cooldown. She has no mobility to get out of this fight. And so, I have decent opening damage. Their mobility is going to be on cooldown. So I just go to push it. And I think the best play for this snorkel ops to make in this situation would be to shoot back at me while I'm trying to web to her. That way my webs are broken. She gets some damage back on me, and she actually buys herself time to heal. But instead of going for that, she just does nothing, allows me to web up to her, and we end up getting the kill easily. And this kind of goes into what I was saying before about, like, not everything is going to work out, but you have to make the play that is most likely to work out. If she doesn't shoot back at me, at what point is the fight going to go her way? Because her mobility is on cooldown. That's not an option. If she doesn't shoot back at me, get some damage on me and make me want to heal, that way she can also heal. We kind of like trade heals in that situation while also putting my mobility on cooldown, then the fight just isn't going to go her way. And obviously, like, this is pretty impactful with like the web mobility items, because when you shoot somebody it goes on cooldown. But even if like the katana was in the game, when someone's in that initial like animation of using the katana, or even shockwave grenades, if they're like throwing one at their feet to push you, then you can get damage in on them in that situation, and that's going to make them play differently once they get to you. Whereas like if you get no shots on them, they're just going to push you and get the kill. So like getting damage back and getting pressure back on the opponent is super helpful. I have another play here where I end up getting fried by this player. He gets much better opening tags in this fight than I do, and I'm very weak, but I have this tree. He has to kind of push out in the open to get to me. So I just play right shoulder peek on the tree, get tags on him, and then we're able to translate that into a kill. And even if I didn't get the kill here, we get that pressure off of me. He's no longer pushing this fight because I got damage back on him when he wasn't expecting it. And also we break his webs out when he tries to web. So this situation went from him being in control and having all of the pressure to like the complete opposite in a very short time span. Like right shoulder peeks behind cover is going to be the best thing that'll often get to like allow you to survive fights. You know, if you're fighting in a house early game, a lot of people, if they take damage, they'll just straight be running away from the opponent. But if you can get to a corner and then play right shouldered peek on that corner, I feel like it's much more likely that that situation is going to go your way than just trying to run continuously. And you don't always need to reset the fight and then just create a new situation where you're fighting to the death. I have another clip here where I get fried out of the sky. This player is very good red eye aim. I'm like at 20 HP by the time this fight starts. And I end up getting in this bush and drinking a slurp. He pushes up to my bush, so I just immediately reposition to another bush. We fight a little bit in that bush, but I'm not happy with the damage I get, and I also don't like fighting in bushes because I play on controller, so that fight really stinks. I'm not going to have aim assist, but that second bush fight we had where I get some damage back on him allows me to kind of leave the fight again. We get to this gas station, and then eventually we do actually have a fight to the death. So it's not like you just need to move to somewhere else and then get into a fight where one of you is winning and one of you is dying. Like, you're just continuously kind of chipping away at their health or like kind of improving the situation over time. This is very true with the slurp juice. Hopefully this changes next season because the slurp juice is insane. But once you get this off, like the more time you can buy, that your situation is just constantly improving. But fast heals are pretty much always ideal for these situations. That's why people don't really like carrying like big shield potions and med kits, because like with that pressure I was talking about before, if you get tags on somebody and you get a little bit of pressure on them, you have time to pop like chug splashes. You have time to pop like a mini shield. You have time to pop slap juice. And like that little bit of HP you get back in that time can be the difference maker in the fight. Whereas like if your only healing options are like big pots or med kits, then you need 5 to 10 uninterrupted seconds to get health. And oftentimes, even if you do get some pressure back, that's not going to be enough for that situation. And this is actually... audio can come into play in a big way here, because like each of these healing items has a different audio cue. So if you get tags on somebody and then you hear behind them go behind cover and like drink a big pot, you know that they need 5 seconds before they gain any health back, and you can play that accordingly to like kind of interrupt it. Another thing that will kind of not really help you win fights that you're losing, but kind of reduce the amount of times you're in this situation, is just avoiding bad situations. Like navigate the map, especially in zero build, in such a way that you typically have cover or are near some sort of cover. Like you don't want to be running out in open fields where if you do get shot, you just have no option to be able to play the game, you know? Or if a fight is about to start under bad circumstances, kind of reset it ahead of time. Back to that game we had before where I fought the Miles Morales and the Snorkelops. I had a lot of fights around that combat cache where I just wasn't happy with like the way that fight was going to start. I felt like it was just a 50-50. And so I just webbed away before the fight even started and created a fight that was on better terms for me. And also just don't 50-50 people without early damage unless you think they're like an AI or like you just have to do it for whatever reason. Something like that, even if you win the fight, you're likely to take a decent amount of damage. And that leaves you really susceptible to third parties. And then you're just kind of in the situation we talked about before where you have no pressure in the fight and somebody else has a lot of pressure on you. Even if they didn't do damage to you, you know, you're pretty weak from that initial fight. Your guns aren't loaded. There's a lot of things that aren't going well for you. So try not to just 50-50 people without early damage. I've been seeing this a lot recently. I feel like for whatever reason with the ODM gear and the web shooters being the only mobility items in the game right now, a lot of people will just like get on you in endgame and it makes very little sense, but I feel like you want to avoid those situations. Another way that I kind of avoid bad situations this season is like we kind of all know those areas where you're just very likely to get third partied, but like the island is very big for this. If I'm ever on the island and like one player zips up as another player's rifting, I'll often just dip into the bottom of the house and play a right shoulder peek, because odds are they're both going to go for the house or the roof, and then I could just third party it. But if I try to like stand my ground on the roof and like kill one before the other gets to me, it's often just going to be a situation where I'm fighting both players at once, or I eliminate one and then are immediately eliminated by the other. So just avoiding these bad situations and kind of identifying them ahead of time can reduce the amount of times you're dealing with these situations where you're at like a massive deficit going into the fight. But that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you guys found this helpful or informative. Like I said, this is kind of a hard topic to talk about because everything in this game is so situational. So I thought I would just break down a few situations and kind of hopefully that hammers some of the points home about like how you play around pressure and how you kind of deal with having much less pressure in the fight than your opponent, because that's basically what these situations come down to. As always, if you guys did enjoy this video, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you like some more, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.